Hi, everybody. In today's franchise showcase, I'm going to talk about a much forgotten franchise that unfortunately didn't get all the limelight that I think it should have. We're talking about Alex Kidd. So, this was originally Sega's um, mascot to complete or to compete with Mario. Everybody thinks about Sonic, but actually it started with Alex. Unfortunately, Alex didn't have the popularity or didn't pick up the following as Mario did. And then that's when Sega later on decided to switch over from Alex to Mario. But the first game ever released was for the Sega Master System, and it was Alex Kidd in Miracle World. And as you would expect, it's a 2D type platform game with what you find in those 2D type mechanic games from that time, jumping, punching, with some superpowers that you can acquire along the way.
Alex Kidd and Miracle World on the Sega Master System. So it's definitely a 2D platform where you're going through and you're jumping. Your main weapon is a punch, but you can also get some additional little additives, rings that you can shoot and etc. And one of the cool things about this game is it goes through many different types of environments and gameplay. So beyond just the 2D platform, you get the typical, you expect swimming. You also can buy a motorcycle and just blaze through obstacles and enemies. So, the variety is kind of fun. Um, Now, here's one of the cool parts that's definitely innovative. When you're battling the bosses in this game, it's a battle for rock, paper, scissors. And if you win, you pass to the next part of the game. Um, One of the things I like about this level is the octopus. I think that octopus is pretty sweet. And again, you're going through different levels with different dynamics. This helicopter level, it's a button smasher. This one always frustrated me quite a bit. And then the cave levels, it's a fun game overall. A 2D platform, and as a classic game, you got to come in it with patience because it's a one-shot kill for most of these games. You got a little jet ski here going on, action, and hey, going surprise, you got a castle with traps. No rip off of Mario, right? But you know, puzzles like you would expect in some of these levels, and you get rewards for collecting money. And typically, those rewards are ability to buy additional weapons or to buy extra lives. The game itself, again, is a fun game, but again, as these 2D platforms, you have to have patience.
And it was followed by several releases in the Master System. So then it went to the Lost Stars.
Alex Kidd The Lost Stars for the Sega Master System. It really follows very similar formula to the Alex Kidd and Miracle World. The big difference is you'll encounter sections with more enemies, and it has way more platforming than the other game. So you can see the different types of levels, and here you'll explore. They really played with some of the colors and the tones on on these games, and they try to introduce again different dynamics into the games, but it really is a mainly a platform game. The levels design, you can see the art style exploring the alien type scenarios, and it wouldn't be an Alex Kidd if you didn't have an underwater type level. So here we are trying to swim through obstacles and reaching the objectives. A lot more power-ups as well in this game. And this is definitely one of the classic scenes where you're grabbing a balloon and you're floating through the air. And as soon as you land, oh, almost looks like a little soccer ball. The last level of this game is a space type level that you're seeing here. And again, you're platforming with enemies in it. But, this game definitely gets a little repetitive. and the endings were not that great either. Here you're about to see the ending of the game. As soon as you go through that door, boom, you beat the game. That was it, buddy. And now you get rewarded with an image of the Statue of Liberty in outer space. um, Again, you gotta admire what they were trying to do. But, considering this Alex kid was supposed to compete with Mario, I think it's clear to say why he was not successful in that competition. The end on this one.
High Tech World.
Alex Kidd in the high tech world for the Sega Master System. They, again, this one is a weird one. um, 80% of the game is about talking to different people and going through back and forth through this house with multiple levels, and you're trying to gather items and solve little mysteries, puzzles, and interact with it. But a lot of text. Um, Completely different formula from the previous two Alex kids. Really, this is not a platform game. There's only two levels where you go through some action. Here you see a little bit map of it, and there's little challenge puzzles types. So in this one, you got to sort out the names of every one of the seven ladies, and if you get it right, you're able to proceed. If not, you got to start all over. But this gameplay was trying to go through a story mode, and this was the part that I found the most entertaining. Sega is number one, where you're having Alex clean the little poster there, and this is one of the two platform levels that this game has. This is it, where you're going through a forest fighting some ninjas, and really both levels are the same. It's kind of a rinse and repeat, where you go through this level, then you go back to the house, and you do it again. Again, the gameplay in this one is not a lot of fun. You get to this point and you're leaving a pawn shop, you get an option to eat a hot dog. The hot dog attendant has to jump over the cart to get your hot dog, and Alex gets to enjoy a hot dog as far as his reward. When you finally finish the game, the whole point of the game was to go to High Tech World, which was an arcade place, and get to the arcade and play a Sega arcade. So definitely introduction of advertising of their brand, and I think that part is funny. But considering you have to go through all this to get to the arcade, yeah, I don't know that this one is one of their best games for this franchise.
And then the next one released in this franchise was actually for the Sega Genesis or Mega Drive. And it was Alex Kidd in the Enchanted Castle. A little bit improved graphics, a little bit better mechanics.
Alex Kidd in the Enchanted Castle went back to the original formula. It went back to a platformer. This time on the Sega Genesis, where it pumped up the quality of the graphics a bit, the sound quality as well, and they also explored a little bit more on the gameplay. So I think this is probably one of the best Alex Kidds there is. And you go through the stores, you can buy items, you have to play rock, paper, scissors, buy items, and then there's a lot of exploration and hidden stuff. So here you can see them going through and finding a hidden underground location with additional treasure chests and bonuses. And again, you're accumulating the money to go back into the stores and buy tools and weapons. Like any typical Alex Kidd game, you always have an underwater level where you're swimming through and running through those obstacles. But in this version of Alex Kidd, they start to explore the level design significantly more, where you could interact with different things further in this level or in the different levels. So here you see a sample of a little helicopter, and he can go up into higher elevations on this level, collect additional paths, or to go through a completely different paths. There's also an Egyptian motif, and again, it's a platform, so you're going through these levels, collecting your rewards and power-ups, and trying to avoid the enemies or destroying the enemies, whichever tactic you prefer for these types of games. The level designs is quite varied, and in this version, the Sega Genesis, it has quite a few more variations of that level design, which I think is pretty cool. And each one of these levels, if you use the items, again, you can interact with the level in different shapes. Here again, you're using the helicopter to access areas that weren't previously accessible. Like any other Alex Kidd, you're going to have also your castle level towards the end of the game, where you're going through to try to beat the level through all the different puzzles that offers as well. And when you start getting towards the end, this is the last boss of the game. It's this six-armed person that you're trying to fight, and he's doing the rock, paper, scissors non-stop and shooting hands. Once you beat him, you beat the game pretty much.
But it concluded its life really with Alex Kidd in Shinobi World.
Alex Kidd in Shinobi World, this went back to the Sega Master System, which is kind of curious because you would be thinking they would be phasing out the Master System since the Genesis had come out. But the Master System was really still thriving in several markets beyond the United States. Now, in this game, you get the spirit of a ninja, and he embeds you with these additional powers and talents. You get the sword instead of a punch, and you also have this kind of like a missile projectile power that you can also use to cross areas or hit enemies. But the level designs follow a slightly different design and motif. Here you can see a little demonstration of that little power where you can turn into this little propelled type fire rocket to go and destroy or access areas that he previously didn't have access to. This one is also one of the better ones, again, where they were exploring the Sega Master System a little bit more with its capabilities and maturities. Gotta love the sword singing underwater and the treasure chest breaking. But overall, this game is pretty fun. This one, you do encounter boss fights, a little bit different from some of the other games, which again drives it more towards that platforming, but adds a little fun element. And if you die, you go into a little angel ghost scene here. You can see definitely some influences from Mario as well. So you can see the cannons. Now the cannons don't shoot straight, but they do shoot cannonballs that roll down the hill that you also have to dodge. There's several different themes in the levels, just like some of these other Alex Kidd games. Again, in this one you have a couple more boss fight variations that you go through and try to beat. As you start to get towards the end of the game, you'll fight this is the last boss of the game, this ninja with a mask, and it's not too hard of an enemy. Once you beat him, that's it. You're able to avenge the other ninja spirit that gave you the powers. So here you return his powers, and you're back to being a regular Alex, and you get back your girlfriend from that evil ninja.
And that was it for Alex for a long time. Kind of went into oblivion. But here, just recently, they've decided to revive the franchise, which I think is awesome. And they've just released here on a couple different systems Alex Kidd in Miracle World DX, which is a whole new remastered game of the first game in the series with better graphics, colors, etc. Now, I've actually been playing this game with my son Gabriel. Been having a bit of fun. And one of the cool features in the game is that you're able to switch back and forth from, in live play, the new graphic style versus the old school graphic style. And I gotta say, switching it over and seeing his face and asking me, "Is that the same game? Is that what you used to play?" is priceless. Okay. Overall, had quite a few memories with Alex Kidd, playing it with some friends.
Alex Kidd in Miracle World DX is really, in my mind, one of the best remasters I've seen to date. I think they've done a fantastic job with this remaster. And if you recall from the first game that we showcased here in the video, it's pretty faithful to that level design. And but you can see definitely the difference in the graphics and the quality of the gameplay. It's definitely a little bit snappier. The controls are definitely on point in this one. Overall, a fun game. I've been playing it quite a bit with my youngest son, and you get to some of the boss fights where you go through rock paper scissors, like the original game. Rock paper scissors, and boom, Alex won this one. There's a map with the different levels. Now, one of the coolest things about this game, in my mind, as far as a remaster, is that you can switch back and forth between the new version, like we're seeing right now, or boom, to the classic style version, the original Sega Master System level graphics and quality. Now, obviously, this has been remastered, even those to be sharper in image, but it's pretty neat that you can go in mid game, switch back and forth, and it's so cool to relate and appreciate how gameplay and graphics have advanced in all this time. Plus, you can concentrate on different elements by switching back and forth throughout that gameplay. And here's a couple different of the level designs. Definitely a little bit brighter, colorful, and the sound is a bit crisper too. You still get Alex into a little angel when he dies. But here, this is another great example of a boss fight where in the classic version versus in the current modern version. What a difference. Wow. And that you can switch back and forth and not interrupt gameplay and make it seamless is, again, I think masterful. Really, really cool what they did here. Plus, they've introduced some gameplay in this one as well that includes infinite lives, which makes it easier for younger kids to go through these types of games and platformers and appreciate them and really go through and enjoy them. I can tell you definitely it's helped my son be able to play this game. Like any other game too, Alex Kidd, you have the castle level design towards the end of the game. And you also have in this one an airplane that you go through, and again you can switch back and forth between classic and modern style. But this is really the last level of the game, and once you beat that, in this version they actually made some graphical cutscenes or a little bit better ending than some of the previous ones. That's another cool thing that I like about this remake. It gave a touch up on the ending that wasn't there in the original game. But Alex Kidd, definitely a fun game. Highly recommend it, especially with young kids.
And well, it was re-released on the PS5, Switch, Xbox, and the PS4. Hope it does well in this relaunch. To maybe see a little bit more of Alex the Kid around. I hope you enjoyed this franchise showcase, and thank you for watching.